Oh,
Hey.
yeah. All three
What
of the
up,
bros.
y'all?
The bros is back in town.
What up, y'all?
The bros are back in town. The bros are back in town.
Yeah.
Y'all
Great.
ridiculous. You guys drink way too much coffee this morning, guys. Come on.
Oh,
man. Come on,
man.
man.
Actually, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm drinking. It's not coffee right now. It's called Dubby. It's a Dub Sludge. It's an energy drink. I got. So yeah, Dub Sludge. That's right.
Shout out to Dub Sludge.
The Dub Sludge. It's
Dub
the
Sludge.
Dubbies. Mm-hmm.
Wow, you gotta love that.
Woo!
What up, Aether? What up, guys? I know people are gonna be piling in here right now. Happy Easter to everybody. I know this is gonna be very exciting. We got a lot to talk about. I know it's off season, kind of boring topics most of the time, right? But at the end of the day, we are trying to put a good show for you guys. So we want to at least have some discussions. I know we signed Will Clapp. There's been some discussions around Justin Herbert. And Aether, we expect you to bring the heat. I love this.
Yeah.
Good job, Aether. We always expect it. And look, guys, if you have questions, please throw them out. You know, we really want to make sure you guys throw out your questions and have discussions with us. I know, James, you got a few things tapped up that you want to discuss. So where do you want to begin? And then I know we could talk about the draft. We're at least going to go live for an hour. So questions, thoughts, whatever you want to do, let's go for it. Kyle, my baby. Yeah. Love it.
Kyle, my baby.
That's right.
There you go. Well, so we got a lot of different things that we could chat about. And obviously we're in kind of draft season, but at the same side, we got news that we need to talk about. So if we want to just kind of breeze over, we got the Will Clapp signing and everything too. The big thing about that Will Clapp signing, and we'll just kind of breeze over that more than anything. It's just more depth than anything. Corey Linsley's our guy. One thing that was interesting, one of the other podcasts talked a little bit about when Will Clapp was on the field, everybody else around them had pretty much a bad game. And it just showed that Will Clapp really isn't Corey Linsley by any means. Very tough to be able to, get a substitute to an all-pro like Corey Linsley. It's a key position for us, probably a cheaper signing for us. It's good to have continuity, and the system might be different with Kellen Moore too. He 100%. Might actually be better all around. Realize we're going to also have Jamari Salyer as a left guard, or is it right guard? I think we're going to have him as a right guard.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have Zion as a left guard too. So there's going to be shifting around in the line. And I mean, I don't want Corey Linsley to go down by any means. I know he had a knee injury and everything, but my hopes is we got a guy that's going to be in the system or at least on the team for a second year, hopefully some continuity from it, and cheap signing for us all around. So we don't really need to focus too much on center position at the moment. So good signing, good base signing all around.
Yeah.
So I'll say a couple things about Will Clapp. Bottom line, he's a depth signing, 100%.
Yeah.
Secondarily, I would say that Kellen Moore is going to run a very different offense than Joe Lombardi. Joe Lombardi's offense was,
thank God,
some part at best. And guys, if you have not watched that video that was brought up by Brett, what's his last name, about the running game, absolutely fantastic video, guys.
Great video,
right?
And it breaks down all the. Here's the thing: Kellen Moore's philosophy on the running game is to make it as simple and easy to manage as possible.
Yeah.
I think Joe Lombardi, as difficult as he was to run offense, he basically ran offense in such a way that was complicated for everybody, right? It wasn't easy for the offense to protect Justin Herbert, and it wasn't easy for the offense to run the ball.
Right.
So it was much more complicated. Kellen Moore ran a lot of the same plays over and over again, but he did it because he knew the defense couldn't stop it. Or at least they would have a matchup or gap matchup, and they were successful in running the ball. So again, if you listen to my podcast where I talked about Josh Palmer interview, they are now creating the offense for the Chargers with the team that we have. So we're not going to see exactly what the Cowboys had. We're going to see something like it, but we're going to use the player personnel we have at the Chargers and run a style with the personnel we have ready to go. So we'll see how it all pans out. But I think the good news is Justin Herbert doesn't have to win every game, because Joe Lombardi's system, he had to be perfect for us to win offensively.
Big time.
So that's one of the things. So I guess my point is, let me land my plane. Will Clapp doesn't have to be that great. At sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't, but he can be a subpar center and we might be okay. That's the nice thing about it.
I mean, I guess it is nice too that he's gonna maintain some level of consistency with the team too, even though he is more of a backup. And as far as I did see too, he is also like skilled enough to do guard position and center position. So he's kind of like more of those utility players that does flip flop between positions of need. So yeah, I mean, but like James started with, he ain't Corey Linsley at all.
He's Corey Linsley.
All pro
thing is continuity, man, and it's a cheap signing for us. I'm sure it's not anything big by any means. It's a good, solid signing for us just to keep continuity going. And but once again, to Andrew's point, he was talking about the system might actually create the player too and help the player too. So
100%.
We'll see where it goes with him. All around, I think it's not a bad little pickup for us. I mean, there's not too much really we could chat about it because I know Will Clapp. It's not like a major signing, but it's a good depth signing for us, and we needed more depth in the O line for sure. So,
I love this.
I know that was so funny. Taking over for Andrew in the season because he keeps talking about Haley.
Hit me up, girl. What's up?
Hey,
what's up? What? I'll buy you a steak. I'll buy you a steak salad, whatever you want, girl. So I got you. I got you.
Hey, you know what?
Even hot chicks gotta eat.
If you don't want a steak salad, I'll get you a warm fish salad. How about that?
Warm
fish salad. Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty awesome.
So funny.
Well, why don't we talk about Justin Herbert a little bit, guys? And so, Matt, we'll go through some questions here as well too. Oh, we're looking at jerseys today. Okay, that's cool. All right.
Oh yeah.
Jersey.
Jerseys today.
Actually, so guys, that's actually how I got my vest right there. That website right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the same website that I got my vest at. I custom made it myself. So yeah,
that's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I don't know how the link got to my side, but it's attacking my my cookies on my computer here.
I know, right? You gotta get that
funny.
spyware off there, James.
Yeah, hey, so dude. Chill out.
Let's go to Matthew Dahl real quick. What up, guys? And then we'll go to Justin Herbert. And guys, throw your questions out here as well too. We'll keep coming to your questions as well through the entire chat. Again, we have an hour plus maybe to talk here. What up, guys? I got a question for a lot of rumors about DeAndre Hopkins and Chargers. What are your guys' opinions about that? What's your thoughts there?
So it's an interesting thing. I saw, I know the director talked about it. He made a whole video about it and everything. So it was actually a radio station out here in Arizona that was saying, oh, the Chargers are one of the teams that he would like to go play with, or the Jaguars. Basically, he's just trying to find a young quarterback that's really good.
Makes sense.
Now, DeAndre Hopkins coming to the Chargers, I mean, his salary is, let's say, $20 million a season. We don't have that kind of money purely. Like, we can't do that. We have two $20 million wide receivers currently right now. That would have to require one of those $20 million wide receivers get traded off somewhere else too. So maybe within that same trade, we would trade off, Allen, or we would trade off Williams. Now, Tom Telesco is basically keeping Allen as his guy. I mean, he's his Andre Reed per se. And I just don't see this. I don't see this even.
Yeah, me too. And not only that, we're going to talk about the salary cap as well too. Again, I would love DeAndre Hopkins to be here, but here's the thing. I think this team needs to get younger fast.
Yep.
And what Allen's supposed to make, $30 million next year? That's bananas money. We love Allen, but holy smokes, guys! Like, I'm sorry, we can't afford him, especially what we're going to pay for, Herbert here. So why don't we go to the contract real quick, and then we could get to 7414's number as well too, or question, and we'll go from there.
Yep. Yeah. So this is kind of a projection based upon what Jason Reed wrote on the Bolt beat about Justin Herbert's contract. So, and obviously it's been a lot of talks about it. It's been kind of in motion and everything like that. Projected to get a 4-year, $208 million contract, $180 million guaranteed from the Chargers.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's some silly money right there, guys. And the big thing about it is that's a short contract for us.
Yeah, that's weird, right? We don't want a short contract. I'd rather have at least I want to lock him up forever, but isn't that the number Lamar Jackson was going for? Wasn't it $180 million guaranteed? I think it was.
He had $133 million guaranteed, or at least the rumor of it is $133 million guaranteed from the Ravens 3-year contract. Yeah. So it's it's wild to kind of think about this as a 4-year, $208 million contract. I think this aligns up a little bit more with the Deshaun Watson contract.
Well, that's a bust.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
wow.
I think two different type of quarterbacks. I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback, but two different type of quarterbacks in different trajectory, but the way I look at this Justin Herbert contract, you want a longer term contract, but at the same side, Justin Herbert's just looking to say, hey, I'll get a ton of money for 4 years, and then I'll find another way to get more money, 4 years down the road. And that's probably the smart way to do it as a quarterback. You got to think of like Patrick Mahomes' contract. It's 10-year contract.
Yeah.
I just looked at his contracts just to see, like, is there like a 5-year out? Is there anything like that? With the salaries, quarterbacks are inflated every single year.
They're ballooning. Yeah.
This is a contract that's kind of tough that potentially could be for the Chargers over the long term for them. This is a short-term contract, in my opinion. It's going to cost more to have Justin Herbert down the road. Now, inflation gets involved. Now, salary cap gets increased. Potential ownership changes by that time this contract is done too. I don't know, but I would like to see a longer-term contract, in my opinion.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like to see a 6 to 8 year contract, but that's kind of like unheard of for NFL. I feel like, and I think that's, but I'll say this. Here's my thoughts on that as well. It's like an interesting perspective on it. In my own industry, in the film and TV industry, like there's current contract negotiations going on between the writers and actors and stuff.
Yeah.
And the contracts that they're creating with the producers are only ever like a 3-year deal. So every 3 years they have to have new negotiations, new changes and stuff like that. And so that's kind of why I can see 4-year deal actually being the way to move forward for any player too, because they don't know what's going to happen with them in 4 years. Like, everything could be changed in that time. And so, by if they did a really long-term contract, say like, Tatis, Fernando Tatis did for like the Padres, was a 15-year deal. Like
$400 million.
Yeah, that sounds like a big deal now, but that's actually was a terrible deal for him as a player, because every 5 years, the deals get bigger and bigger, and so that's why, like, with a player contract like this for 4 years is a better idea, because then you're getting a lot of value in that short term 4 years at contract, and then the next 4 years comes out, and then you can get an even bigger contract because this is inflation and stuff, So so I mean, so in a lot of ways, I feel like this is not a team friendly deal. To do
but it's also a ton of money we're locking up for one player, right? And don't get me wrong, we know Justin Herbert's amazing. Now,
but he's worth it. He's worth it to lock up this much.
Yeah, I understand that, but again, there's still arguments both ways on that, right? So, what do you guys think in the chat? Okay, because we want to make this as interactive as possible. What do you think in the chat? Does this make sense to you? To me, it doesn't. And the reason why it doesn't, I think, is that no matter what, you're locking up $180 million. Okay, that's $50 million per year for one guy. And when the salary cap is what, 260 million? Is that what it is? I know it bumped up a little bit. Dude, that's a lot of money you're locking up for one person, right? And again, maybe we should show our salary cap right now, James, and we could go into that a little bit. And then we can start talking about some free agencies that are out there, right? Or free agents that we could potentially sign. Because here's the thing. There comes a point where you have to start making it make sense, right? Yep. And this is great. H4 said, make sure the torn labor is 100% before investing. Coupon Tom, look, he's got to be ready to go, and we need to know that. But dude, that's a lot of money. And now, for example, I would never pay that money to Lamar Jackson. The man's always hurt, right?
Yep.
But Justin Herbert at least has stayed healthy. He's
relatively
out there at least.
Relatively.
Right. Yeah, but maybe we should talk a little bit about that salary cap, and then we can go into some draft questions as well too.
I did want to just jump in one little point here in the article. It talks about basically if he signs, say, a 4-year contract at that point, when he needs to re-up his contract at that point, it could be a 5-year, $300 million base contract.
Isn't that crazy?
So you got to think that he's basically a $500 million based athlete at that point. So it's kind of an interesting thing, just kind of looking at all that potential money that could be made with Justin Herbert. His trajectory, we all know where his trajectory is at. He's moving upwards. So,
well, and not only
go to the salary cap here too.
I will say this too. Here's the thing that's interesting about that too. Kellen Moore is going to make it very simple for Justin Herbert to be successful. That's the one thing that I really liked about his offense. Look, bottom line, Dak Prescott is not a good quarterback compared to Justin Herbert. He's just not. So you look at someone like Kellen Moore, he's going to simplify the offense and make it easier for Justin Herbert to even look better, but he's also going to spread the ball around, right? So there's going to be more run, more efficient passing game and everything. So it'll be really interesting to see.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's going to be an exciting thing to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this offense is going to be. And it's great to hear that, based upon your interview with Joshua Palmer, that they're basically creating an offense based upon the players they have and hopefully will have from the draft too. So,
and I'll recap before we go into this real quick, just really quick. I was on a call. It was a Zoom meeting with Justin Palmer or Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer basically said, "Hey, I want to see the playbook." And Kellen Moore's like, "Yeah, no, there's no playbook. We're going to create the playbook really this week, or it was last week and this week." He had not actually met him face to face. They're getting together and they're going to create an offense this season. That's exactly what Josh Palmer said, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah, and H4, that's exactly what we're going to get into in this exact point right here, because we want to talk about this potential dollars coming up and, where we're going to be sitting salary cap wise in the future.
Yep. And so currently right now we're at 14.9 million, give or take. I'll just round it up to 15 million. We probably have spending money after the draft of probably around $6 million. So we don't have a ton of money to work with, but signing, say like Will Clapp, getting a guy is probably maybe $1 million, if that, just for depth purposes makes sense. And a guy that's been in the system already too. And it seems like Brandon Staley and Telesco likes him. I'll say this is kind of an interesting point. It seems like one of the first seasons we've signed a lot of our players once again that have gone to free agency. This has been an interesting offseason all around for us. So it's interesting to be able to say that we keep signing our players once again. It's kind of odd. It's kind of odd to see that, but based upon what we're seeing, we're probably going to put about $9 million towards, draft picks this year. We got a couple $1 million to be able to work with. Players that you guys would like to see that we might have had on our team last year. What's some players that you guys would like to see back here on the team, Andrew?
Kyle? K9 for me, 100%. Yeah. I'd love to see K9 back. He's
or KVN.
You mean KVN, not K.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the salary cap on my side, and then I thought KVN. Yes, I think he's amazing, and I'd like to see Bryce Callahan. He's another one that I would.
Yeah, Bryce Callahan and KVN would be perfect for us to keep. Right,
and we still haven't released Hopkins yet, have we?
No.
No. Yeah, I thought we did actually.
Not yet.
No, okay.
Not yet.
Yeah, so he's still.
To me too. I think Hopkins needs to go. Obviously we have Dicker the kicker, so why need another? We don't need another kicker.
Yeah. Hopkins is a veteran. Maybe he can teach Cameron Dicker a few things here and there still. But I don't know. I think Dicker's he's confident enough. He's got a big dick energy. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big dick energy.
Big That's Dicker energy. I meant to say big Dicker
energy.
Sorry, YouTube.
So
sorry, YouTube.
Yeah. So also, I will say this with an H4's comment. Look, I think last year's draft and this year's draft is going to be more about depth.
Yeah.
That's why I like the concept of trading back our 21st pick, because there's going to be a lot of depth in the second round.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said this at the beginning, and I kind of want to tie it into this. Okay, here we go. 74-14, right? Realistic, how many second round picks could we compile total if we started trading? See, and this is the interesting conversation. Eckler, I think Eckler's coming back, but I think there is a chance on draft day that maybe something happens. Buffalo has wanted us to trade with him. But man, I would love 2 or 3 second round picks and maybe maybe 2 or 3 thirds. Yep. There's a lot of depth in this draft, guys. And that's kind of what we need, guys. Because look at the top of our list: J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Mike Williams, Corey Linsley, Keenan Allen. They're getting old, guys. They're aging out and they're getting expensive.
Yeah.
So we need depth. We need people to step in and learn from these veterans and move forward. So maybe go into 2024, maybe talk about the salary cap. I know that's kind of what you want to talk about, James.
Man, and that's wild to look at. I mean, we're starting to look at a negative cap space right from the get-go.
Already looking at a deficit right now, guys.
So 12 million deficit right from the get-go. And then you start looking at like J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. Now, once again, we're at a point, even for this year, is we have to pick up the 5th-year contract of Justin Herbert, or we're just basically just going to throw out an extension of some sort. Smart idea would be able to pick up his 5th-year contract, because that'd be like $27 million. So thinking on top of this dollar figure is $27 million. So you start looking at these bigger contracts. Khalil Mack, $38 million towards the cap. Bosa, $36.6 million. Williams, $32.4 million. So it becomes a really, really difficult situation to look at that. Keenan Allen, $34 million. You got 4 players worth over $100 million.
Yeah.
Right there.
And we still got to sign Herbert at some point.
And Herbert's got to get involved.
Yeah.
This is why we cannot get Austin Eckler a contract. We don't have money. Period. How are we going to shift things around? You could do these things where you could cut post Junes, start putting 23 million, 22 million, 20 million, 23 million. You could start opening up money that route, but we just don't have a whole heck of a lot of money right now. For next year, that is. I mean, the team could shift a lot next year. And that's going back to the draft. That's why we got to get young. We got to get young.
We got to get young.
Especially in these defensive end positions and wide receiver positions. Because once again, Mac, Bosa, a lot of money there. 70 million plus. Williams, Allen, a lot of money there. 2 players. So it's like we got to find young players that could really contribute to this team, specifically next year if we move on from one of these guys or 2 of these guys. So it's really interesting next year. It's really, really looking interesting for us next year for sure. But the one thing I'm going to point out, 2025, we don't have a team, basically.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Jeez.
14 players under contract at that time. J.C. Jackson, Joey Bosa, Derwin, Williams, Allen, gone. And so, but it puts $164 million. Now, this is the idea of kicking the can down the road, per se. You can sign guys if you want to. You could just basically make it happen for 2025 for their payouts. So it takes time to kind of manipulate this cap. I mean, is this cap really real? Well, there's a lot of ways to be able to manipulate it all around. But next year could be either we're going to run with the same team, not really have much additions other through the draft, or we're going to start getting rid of players to be able to add other players to make a different team happen. I do think if we don't do very well next year, I mean, there's a chance that Brandon Staley could be let go. There's a chance that Telesco could be let go. And different mind will come in and do what he needs to do to this team. I do think the Chargers really like Brandon Staley. I like Brandon Staley. I think he's a very good coach. But I think that we'll see kind of what it looks like next year. I think this next year is going to dictate on how far we're going to take Tom Telesco and Staley all around. So
Kyle, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm by the way, just welcome Tyra. Thank you for joining us.
Hey.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Like and subscribe too, by the way.
How to do the chair. It's super cheesy, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, so like I was going to talk about that too. Like the fact that Eckler, I mean, I feel like I'm positive Eckler's going to be with the team this year.
Yep.
That's 100%. We had a question about that from Twitch, the fella from Twitch, Savior fella. And that's going to be it for him. Unfortunately, we can't talk extension for him with our team, which sucks because I like Eckler. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a leader off the field and on the field. And he just gets things done. And he's a very valuable weapon. And unfortunately, this is going to be the last year that we're going to see Austin Eckler in the Powder Blues. But because of that, like we said, we're digging ourselves in a hole right now because of those 4 players. I did the calculations. That's $142 million with those 4 players entirely.
That's half the cap. That's half the cap.
Yeah, just about. It's almost, yeah. Wait, no, it's over half the cap. Yeah.
Oh, it is over half the cap, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm great at math. Thank guys.
Yeah. And so, and then of course you add Justin Herbert's 5th-year deal onto that. So that's way beyond the cap at that point. That adding another 30 million to it, so it's 170 million with 5 players. That's it. So, I mean, obviously, and then here's the bigger problem. Another worse picture with it is that you look at Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. If we trade them or something, then we now have dead money with them.
Yeah.
So
dead cap money.
Yeah. So it's like we're still going to be hurting, even if we trade them off. So
yeah. So we're kind of where the Rams are right now, because the Rams are kind of imploding.
Mm-hmm.
They're dumping everything at this moment.
Yeah.
Well, at least we'll be there next season.
Right.
But again, where that makes everything exciting for us is we have an opportunity to win now, right? We were trying to win last season and this season, so that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Trying to win with Justin Herbert's rookie contract, because if we win after that, or we're gonna have to spend a ton more money. There's probably gonna be double the numbers that we're seeing right now with Justin Herbert.
See, and just H4, I think we're gonna be drafting pretty heavy offense this season in the draft.
So.
I agree. Yeah,
I think at least a tight end, wide receiver, some legit weapons, maybe even a running back. Bijan Robinson, and again, we have Isaiah Spiller. Haven't seen it. This is an interesting point. We talked a little bit about this.
Oh,
see ya, boys.
Peace out, bro. Okay. All right.
Oh wow! Did I get kicked out? What just happened?
Yeah.
Whoa! What just happened there?
Whoa, man.
Oh, man.
I was freaking
crazy.
out, dude. Yo,
Wow,
we're back, boys.
Are we still going?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
That was crazy, guys.
That was really weird.
Everything just died out on us. That was crazy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Go back on your point.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, guys. Yeah, sorry about that. You gotta love technology.
Yep, that's right. Fitness. It was a glitch in the matrix.
Glitch in the matrix, guys.
With Telesco talking. He was like,
that's it.
Get him
That's
out of
it.
here.
They're like, press the button.
Shut up, guys.
Yeah.
So in my trade down scenario, we ended up with 9 picks, and a lot of them were in the 7th round, right? And so, but again, I think we need another quarterback. I would not mind that homie. What's his name? The quarterback from TCU, or also the guy from Georgia. One of those 2 guys wouldn't be bad, but you can get those guys in the 7th round probably behind Easton Stick. And I know somebody talked about Easton Stick. Easton Stick has actually been okay. He's a very smart quarterback. He just has an opportunity. He hasn't had an opportunity to play. We really don't know how well he's done. I just think he's behind Justin Herbert, right? So he's not going to get any playing time. I mean, that's just who's the backup for Patrick Mahomes? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. I mean, he's not going to see field time. So. Yeah. And yes, glitch in the matrix. That was awesome, guys.
That was wild.
So what you guys thoughts on how
guys, we're talking about us 3 bros. We've been talking about doing videos on players that could be available at 21. Should we draft them or should we not draft them?
Right.
And so we're going to kind of do a series leading up to the draft of certain players and everything too. And would it be a fit or not be a fit kind of thing. So we'll talk about that for sure in the coming weeks. But there's some exciting things I think that the Chargers could do in this draft. My hopes is that they get it right. My hopes is that there's going to be a lot of offense the first 2 picks at least. Load up this freaking offense. Perfect example. The Chiefs don't have the best of defense, but they had an opportunistic base defense that found ways to shut games down when necessary.
Right.
Not the best of defense. We're heavy on defense right now on our salary cap, but we need to really find a little bit more firepower all around. Zay Flowers is a guy that I would love to see. I think he's an absolute stud as a wide receiver. Yeah. Kincaid is another tight end I'd love to see. I think he's got great hands, good body control. We'll talk about it all around, guys. So just keep an eye out for all those videos. Michael Myers. Yep.
One of the other guys too is Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, right? He could be a really good guy as well too. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of players, and again, this draft is an interesting draft when you think about it because there's a lot of good players. There's a lot of good offensive linemen, lots of good wide. Well, not a ton of wide receivers. A little wide receiver light. Who was talking about that guy from TC? Why am I drawing a blank on his name? The guy from TC.
Quentin Richardson.
Yeah, Quentin Richardson. He's been dropping down a lot of people's draft boards from what I can see, which is really weird. So he could even fall into the second, right? Yep. And guys, we all know draft days are awkward, and you never really know. Every team has a different way of looking at what they want, right? They sometimes draft for position. They sometimes draft for what they need. Sometimes they just draft because they need depth. And that's kind of where the Chargers are right now. But we also need to look at our future. And Tom Telesco keeps talking about that. He's like, hey, look, we have to get younger, and we need depth for the future because we're getting older. We're going to lose Bosa. We're going to lose Mac. We're going to lose some of these other guys. Yes, I think Bosa is probably going to be gone at some point. Who knows? Yeah. We could see something really crazy happen on draft day. What are your thoughts on that, Kyle? I know James and I have been talking quite a bit about this.
Yeah. Kyle doesn't want to talk.
Kyle, you're not there? Oh. I did ask you, Kyle, what's your thoughts on that draft conversation?
Oh, I thought James was going to have something to say. Yeah. So, yeah.
He's like just staring. I'm like, I guess he didn't hear me. Awesome. Another matrix, huh?
Well, because James started to say something, and I was like, wait, what's going on here?
God.
So,
Johnson.
So, live TV, guys. Gotta love it. Live TV, live podcasting, guys. That's how it is.
So, Hey, sorry. I just had to drink a little bit more W here.
Yep. Yeah, there we go. Okay, get that purple drink. Get that purple drink.
It's actually green, bro. It's green. It's like
green drink.
Yeah, it's green drink.
It ain't St. Patrick's Day. What you doing?
Hey, it's all right. Yeah, so I feel like there's a lot of things that we can do in the draft this year. Like 100%. Like we are going to go offense this year because last year I felt like the priority was all defense. And and unfortunately a lot of our key players on defense went down. But they're all in recovery. Like, we're seeing a lot of reports of Khalil Mack working out, like in just getting swole again, and then JC Jackson is looking good. Like, I think he started his workouts in January, I think, and since then he keeps posting progress things. He's looking good. He's looking sharp, and everything's coming together. Because there was a lot of talks that that injury that he had in the season could have been a career-ending injury, but it looks like it's actually doing well. So he's doing fine. There you go. Let's pull it up here.
Pull up JC Jackson here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love seeing videos like this. Whoops, sorry guys.
I'm excited to be here, bro.
Hey.
Golly, what's wrong with you, dude?
Stroke it out, man. Stroke it out.
Stroking out over here.
Glitch in the matrix.
But the thing about it is you love seeing a guy like this, JC Jackson, going out there and working and putting in some dang work. And he's a big part of this defense. If we could get him back and have him in the backfield, Michael Davis, Asante Samuel Jr., JC Jackson, Derwin James. It would just be an electric backfield all around. It'd be tough to throw on us. Period.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it'd be tough to do anything on us, right? Again, I hate saying this over and over again, and you guys are going to just laugh at me for saying is how many damn injuries did we have last season?
Yeah.
And where would we have been if? And I've said this before. If we had JC, I said if we just had Mac and Bosa all season would have been completely different. At least 2 more wins, maybe even another playoff win, right? We beat the Jags. But what if we had JC Jackson with the rest of the team? I know JC Jackson was struggling at the beginning of the season because I'll be honest with you, Brandon Staley's defense is very different than what the Patriots run, right? We run this like hybrid zone scheme, very different. But JC Jackson, he is a man cover, right? He likes to look at one guy and shut him down.
Yep.
Brandon Staley didn't do that. He just didn't. So, it'd be interesting to see how he plays him up this season. I think he'll be back day one. And I think it's a good point. Who's the other person you want to? Oh, here we go.
Right here. Khalil Mack over here putting in work.
Mac Daddy.
But what about Sebastian Just
Mac?
Yeah. Sebastian Just Day's like, what's up on the invite? Where was my invite, son? You got Morgan Fox back there too. He's out there doing his thing. He was like, yo, no invite, dude. What up with that?
It's so I want to bring up one little thing too about this too, guys. Just so you know, the NFL, they have limited how much you can practice, right? So a lot of this is them just working out on their own.
Yeah.
They don't have to do this. It's not it's not, what do you call it? Mandatory.
Not mandatory. Yeah. Right.
What was it? So again, that's why a lot of players go to camps. Josh Palmer was at a camp. I don't know. I don't remember if you guys watched my live video. He was at a camp Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee was at that camp as well to learn how to become a wide receiver. So
it's a bit of a reunion for them. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And so these are some of the things they have to do to be ready. Again, look at Trey Pipkins. Pipkins ain't easy. He wasn't great, but he went to the same camp that Rashawn Slater went to.
Right.
He improved his game.
Weather. Yep.
So, yeah, exactly correct. And so I guess my point in saying this is you're with the team, but you need to do work off season to be ready to actually play, right? So you don't really have an off season. Yeah, you may have a month or two off to get healthy or whatever, but then it's back to the grind, and that's what they're doing right now. So it's exciting seeing these guys work out. I mean, it's important. Here we go.
I mean,
good point.
That's that's the wildest thing too. Is like I think this is relatively 100%. a newer development in the NFL period though, because like back in the what was it like probably like the pre-90s or whatever like that, most players they just when they were off season they didn't care. They like and the same thing with Ben Roethlisberger. He was like one of the old mentality type of people. Like when the off season, he just kind of loafs around, does whatever the heck he wants, you know?
Exactly right.
And that was like relatively. But nowadays, like in order to actually be a player in the NFL, you pretty much have to put in the effort off the field and like when they're not practicing and to continue to practice and stuff. So,
I mean, the thing about it is every year your job is on the line, and there's going to be somebody else that's more hungry in front of you. Right. You know, that's one thing I love about Austin Ekeler, though. He always talks about it like, hey, man, bring in some other competition. Try to take my job. Yeah. Like, I'm going to outplay you. Like, and you kind of love to have guys like that are willing to just say, hey, look, like, try to take my job. I'm going to just outplay you, and you're going to have no chance at all. I'm sorry. So, but that's a guy putting in work in the offseason. And if you follow Austin Ekeler on Instagram, I mean, all he's doing is showing off his guns, dude, and his workouts.
Gun show all day. Yeah, and I think he's doing like this whole Austin Ekeler challenge where he's doing like the combine, but he's adding the Austin Ekeler twist or whatever like that. So like he did the bench, but he did like I think he did like 350 on the bench or something like that. Yeah, and he did like 5 or something like that. And I was like, gosh, this guy's so freaking buff, dude. It's insane. Dude, he's an inspiration to us bros everywhere. You know.
I know.
It's insane.
You know. So when we talk about the draft, guys, what do you think in the draft? Who should we go after, and maybe rank them in order of need for this team? You know, wide receiver, tight end. You know, maybe edge rusher, running back, whatever. What do you guys think in the chat as well too? Because I think it was Fitness here that threw something out here. Okay, here we go. It would make sense to get some wide receivers, dump those salaries next year, and always add free agents. So my thought is I think we need to go probably a wide receiver first, maybe a tight end, and then edge. But then here's the thing though, Tom, I know the way Tom drafts, he picks whoever is top of his board. If they're available, he would just go with them. Now, someone also brought up, in Fitness also brought up edge rusher. Nolan Smith is projected to be way underneath. He might even be the second round. That guy's a freak of nature, but he's small. He's only 240.
Right.
So,
well, he can always get bigger, you know.
No, see, that's my point, right? Yeah. I mean, Zay's getting bigger now. He was 170 in college, and now he's like 185 maybe. Mm-hmm. So he's getting a lot bigger. So guys, what are your thoughts? And maybe bros, what are your thoughts on that? You know, because I would say, man, it's tough for me because I still think I would almost say edge rusher first because we have 2 edge rushers that are aging out and getting way too damn expensive. But we also have 2 wide receivers that are aging out and getting way too damn expensive. Mm-hmm. And we already have 3 tight ends. So you can almost wait on a tight end and get wide receivers. So, man, that's tough. I would say, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I guess I'll go first. And then, so I 100% believe edge is our priority as far as that goes, because you're right. Like we have 2 edge rushers that are getting older. But number 2 is that Joey Bosa has only had 3 seasons where he has consistently played all year. And so he's a berserker out there. So he's way too aggressive or whatever. And so he puts his body on the line at every single play. And that obviously is taking a toll on him. And we were talking about this a couple of weeks back, you know, is that I feel like that Bosa is probably going to have the highest chance of any player on our team currently to probably retire early. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because now that was Nasir Adderley, apparently out of the blue. Yeah. So, but of any player who's like, man, my body's just taking a toll playing this game. I just can't play anymore, so that's my thoughts is like, but then as far as wide receivers goes, I don't really feel like that's a necessarily for age situation because we saw Larry Fitzgerald play like almost into his 40s, and Jerry Rice played almost into his 40s. And if I feel like Keenan Allen is at that level of them to consistently play, besides some of the injuries that he gets or whatever like that, I feel like he could play well into his.
So what do you want to talk about in the draft here, Kyle? So what are you picking? Wide receiver, tight end.
I already said edge.
Okay.
It was my guy, and so it would go edge, wide, probably tight end, and then wide receiver for me.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. What do you think, James?
It's interesting because I kind of look at it as one of our biggest issues in our team is our defensive line, especially for last year and the last 2 years to stop the run. And, I kind of think like it probably doesn't sound too like popular as a choice, but I keep thinking about like Kalijah Cansey from
everyone's talking about him.
Yeah. And the thing about him, it's interesting because his metrics are like Aaron Donald. Like it literally same school, metrics are the same, faster than Aaron Donald, size, everything like that. Very, very similar. So like, what if we go after a defensive line just to stabilize our dang line? Like, when was the last time that we had a really, really good defensive tackle on our line? Brandon Mebane, maybe. Jamal Williams, probably. That's our best time that we've ever, our best defensive tackle that we've had on this team. Not saying that Sebastian Joseph-Day or Austin Johnson aren't those guys, but like, dude, what if you get a guy that could play basically like Aaron Donald and be like Aaron Donald? Now, Aaron Donald, why he's Aaron Donald is because what's going on in his head and his mentality. His physical traits are what Kalijah has. But what if you go after a guy like that? I mean, just to stabilize that, we have not done a very good job on protect or finding a way to stop the run. Put a guy like that could be a dude that could change the line dimensions and really help us out and stabilize us.
That's why I like Jordan Davis so much last year from Georgia. Of course, that guy got hurt pretty quick too. So
exactly.
I don't think he played hardly at all last season, if I remember correctly. I had a bit of a man crush on that guy, dude. I thought he was awesome. All right, so Aether, here's okay. So James, you want to take this question here from?
So Aether's talking about Jason Reed, the article that we chatted about. He's like, he's an idiot. Herbert and Burrow will get Mahomes deal.
He's an idiot.
He's an idiot. Herbert and Burrow will get Mahomes kind of deal. We'll get 8-year deal. I promise. Remember, I'm the one that said Kellen Moore will be the OC. I know, man. You are Nostradamus, my friend.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, the thing is, though, with the Chargers, even to say what they did with Phillip Rivers with current ownership, they didn't give him a big contract. And the idea of having 8-year contracts on players in the NFL is ridiculous. In Major League Baseball, it's way more possible. It's way more common. But in the NFL, it's not common. So I think it's going to be a 5-year contract, in my opinion. 4-year contract based upon what Jason's been writing in that article. I mean, if you're a smart player, you want to find ways to double dip and make more money when it's don't look like a guy that's making $30 million versus some rookies making $50 million kind of thing. So I think it's going to be interesting all around to see what happens with this. And there's going to be some money manipulation that needs to happen. So, but I'll say this one thing with the salary cap last year or next year, that's what we worry about next year, not this year. So,
true.
So 2 studs at tight ends, what Fitness thinks, essentially wide receivers are great. Plus they help with the run game. Guys, if you watch that video that came out, really, they are a essential part of the running game. And again, well, here's the thing. Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank on his name? The guy we got from Georgia, Trey McKitty, and Brandon Staley said this a number of times. Trey McKitty he's not stepped up like he needs to.
Man, that freaking dropped pass, literally.
It's so horrible, right? And so look, but we got Parham, who's been delightful, and he's actually done a pretty good job blocking. And the guy's got good hands. He's done a great job. He's super tall, and
the Madden goat.
And so But I do think we need another tight end for depth. And you know what? They might even bring in a 6 offensive lineman as just another button gut guy on the line. You could line up as that tight end, and he could just open holes. So there's a lot of different formations, and they're building the offense right now. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. So,
and the big thing about it too, just going back to Kellen Moore in that video you talked about earlier in the video, Andy, is that he does a lot of 12 personnel, which requires 2 tight ends.
100%.
And so we need to have blocking based tight ends. Now, our current tight ends, those guys, Trey McKitty, maybe,
but he kind of sucks at blocking. He's not been that great. He's struggled. He's missed.
That's where we're going to start sitting there, and that's where I've been a big fan of freaking Darnell Washington.
That guy's a freak. Yeah,
just a massive dude. Like,
he's 6'7" as well. You know, like
he's 6'7".
Yeah.
I thought he was like, oh, really?
Yeah, he's tall.
Big dude.
He's tall AF. Like the only thing that he would really need.
Yeah,
that's right. He would need to work on a little bit of his hands and stuff like that, you know, to utilize him a little bit more offensively. But I mean, hey, a blocking tight end is not a bad thing to get as well. But I don't know. I don't think that would be a good first round draft pick choice at all, though.
Yeah, so, I think it'll be a second round for Darnell.
Yeah. See, and again, that's why I like the trade down scenario, because we could probably get 2 or 3 needs right out of the second and third rounds pretty easy. And then, and then we can get more depth because, your video that you did, James, that you go into all these lower picks on the offensive line. You could get some of those guys pretty cheap. Now, Achilles Smith, we did talk a little bit about DeAndre Hopkins at the very beginning of this video. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out. The problem is we don't have a lot of money left over. We could get him probably cheap. I would think the Jags have some money saved up that they could probably throw at him.
Yeah.
Because their team got young pretty quick, right? Because they kind of had to. So I believe they have some salary cap. It would be a stretch to say we get him.
Yeah, but they have a lot of wide receivers over at the Jags, though.
That is true.
So,
that is true.
It's kind of the same situation with us. I mean, it would have to be a player for a player, in my opinion. If the Cardinals are going to pull the trigger, it's a player for a player situation.
Yep. Yeah, and I thought the same thing too. Fitness when he banged his head and got that concussion and got knocked out. That was such a weird concussion. I was
wild.
Like, wild. And let's not forget, he had a touchdown in the end zone, but he dropped the ball because of the concussion.
100%.
We would have won that game. And I'm like, and we would have gone to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel horrible that he got hurt, but God, like how often does that happen as Charger fans? It's like so frustrating, right? I mean, it's just crazy. Now, again, so Kyle, we should probably pass to you on this. I know you're not a fan of Telesco, and I know H4 is not a fan of Telesco, but here's the thing. I'm just going to say this. These 2 draft picks, or these 2 drafts specifically with Brandon Staley, have been all about depth because we're bringing in veterans. So my argument has always been that we don't really know how good these picks are. They're just behind veterans, right? Now we could say, who's our edge rusher? What's that guy's name? Oh my gosh, what am I drawing a blank on his name? The string bean.
String bean.
Rump shaker.
Just shake your rump.
But again, he hasn't had a lot of field time. Like JT Woods hasn't had a lot of field time. Leonard and Jasir Taylor, right? So maybe give us your thoughts on Telesco, Kyle, and then we could kind of talk a little about that a little bit. Because again, it's going to be his philosophy for the draft along with Brandon Staley. So what's your thoughts?
Well, and that's the biggest disadvantage for us trading down, because I feel like Tom Telesco just gets kind of tunnel vision and just kind of focuses on the first round for the most part of anything. So because it's very apparent we have not had many players, if hardly any players, that have gone to the Pro Bowl after the first round. In entire Tom Telesco's reign here as a Charger GM. So I feel like his lack of detail with the depth of the draft has really made us suffer, because we don't have great players behind our starters.
Veterans.
But I don't know exactly how he can make that better. So I can't offer much solutions besides maybe he just needs to look deeper into the draft about all these players that are available to find out, okay, what is this guy? Like, what makes a player great? And honestly, I think the biggest thing is their mentality. And so Tom Telesco needs to really just interview these players and find out more about them than besides just like how big they are, what their speed was, and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I don't exactly know, because obviously if I could be in that position of Tom Telesco, I would probably be like, shitting my pants every single day because like of how much pressure he's under right now, because this is probably could be his final year. And I know like Pigskin Addict made a post like that. He was like, because he's kicking the can down the road with all these players, with the contracts. He's kind of given the Chargers in a lot of ways a big middle finger, as he's basically walking out the door pretty soon. So
it is.
Yeah. And they're taking a swing right now for the Super Bowl, right? Because they know they got Herbert on the rookie contract, so they're trying to make it work. But you're right. And again, it's tough, right? He is a punching bag of a position, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is, and in H4, you're exactly right. Dead man walking. He's the guy that gets blamed. Now, my argument is this, and agree or disagree with me, guys, that I think it doesn't matter who you draft, because there's a lot of, I shouldn't say that. Let me take that back. I'm taking that back. There's a lot of people that are making decisions on the draft. It's not just Tom sitting in a room going, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy. It's an entire scouting staff. It's an entire, Staley's looking at it. Everyone's looking at it. I promise there's some sort of voting system. We want this guy. He's available. Let's go. So it's not just Tom. It's the entire staff making the pick. So you can't necessarily blame it on one person. Having said that, I still think that no matter who you draft, you still have to get the right person in the system and make them and use them efficiently. And that's still a coaching problem. And that's not Tom's job. So I see what you're saying, but I also I wouldn't say disagree, but I still think it's a thought process, not just a Tom Telesco conversation. And Kyle, James, you've been kind of quiet on this. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, the thing about it is Brandon Staley's been pretty good on the draft, in my opinion. I was just scanning through 2021 and 2022 draft. And, you got to go back to 2021. We went after Rashawn Slater, stud. Sanjay Samuel, second round, stud. Josh Palmer, I think, is getting better. And then after you start going to the third, fourth, and all that and everything, it's kind of like, but those are all like gap filler type guys. Sometimes could be really, really good players all around.
Special teamers.
Special teamers, exactly. And then even to say last year, Zion Johnson nailed it with him. Got rid of the second round pick because we traded him to be able to get Khalil Mack. And then JT Woods, we don't know where he's at.
Right.
Spiller, Otio, Bonia, Jamari Soller, massive pickup at 6th round. Jasir Taylor, I think, is a stud too. So I'm just saying, like, Tom Telesco, in my opinion, if Tom's doing these picks, I think the Brandon Staley effect has really helped out getting more quality players all around too. So I think they've been a very good combo together. Personally, I kind of hope that they stay around a little bit longer. But next year is going to be an interesting year. Whoever's the GM next year. Now, I hate even talking about this. But like,
I feel
let's talk about 2023 more than anything. But like,
well, I was going to say this though too, is like my final thoughts are too, is like on Tom Telesco, is that I feel like he's just a yes man. So so
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. So he goes in, like, basically he's going to do whatever the coaches want him to do. Because, you're right. Because he's had like a positive experience with Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley wants all these players. And then, Tom Telesco was like, okay, I'll try and make it happen, So, and maybe that's what a GM should do. But I don't know if maybe a GM should be a little bit more active in himself as well. And the same thing goes is that, like, Tom Telesco basically sat on his hand in the last season when we still could potentially have found somebody to kind of revitalize our team mid-season. That way, maybe we could have gone for it a little bit more. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, so let's go to Aether's question here too. I have a bold prediction: Chargers GM will give up 15. Move up to 15 and get Smith or Kincaid. Bosa will not be on the team next year, and I'll cut. I will see you, Andrew, on draft night and say what I told you. Okay, yeah, and look, the one thing I would say on this too, though, is Smith and Kincaid both are not really projected to be around 15, so we wouldn't need to trade up. Now, that's a prediction. But that's kind of what some of the draft boards are saying as well too. I like both of those guys personally. If we got both of those guys, I would be hyped. I would be so hyped. Now, my one concern though is Kincaid's had some injury issues, so I get a little nervous about that as well too. That's
we didn't see too much about him last year, right? Because he got injured early on or something. No,
it was the year before, I believe.
Okay,
but he's
last year had a really good year.
Yeah,
Okay.
last year was fantastic. That's why he's moved up the draft board. But
Okay.
the argument is Mark Mayer's probably, or Mike Mayer. I would say, Mike Mayer. He's probably a better overall tight end, blocking and so on and so forth. But and fitness brought up an interesting point here too. Maybe even trade next year's first for some first year's trade down with the Saints. Could potentially be a high draft pick next year if the Saints suck. I don't think the Saints are going to be great next year anyways. So that's a good point, right? But you bring up a good question, right? And I think maybe here's if I do have an argument with Tom Telesco too, is that he's the one that's making the deals, right? James and I are both in sales. We have to work a deal. That's what we do. You're wheeling and dealing, right? And I haven't seen Tom make many splash deals, right? And so
not this year.
Yeah, not this year. Last year he did great. Now again, Brandon said they talked quite a bit about that hey, look, it's a very different off season than it was last season, right? There wasn't as many people there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say original one just talked about it too. He's like the whole thing about the mayor and the connection is that Notre Dame once again, You kind of think, are we going to go after against another Notre Dame kind of guy? I mean, you got rid of Drew Tranquil, right? We got rid of Tillery, right? Yep. I mean, there's a lot of guys that we've drafted from Notre Dame and just, we end up moving on with him. And I don't know why we end up kind of falling in love with a specific school or whatnot. But I mean, my opinion, I think that we shouldn't really even touch the tight end position till round 2, in my opinion, because I think there's some really quality guys in round 2. This is a deep tight end draft. Even a wide receiver, if we're trying to get somebody with speed, Marvin Mims is another guy. It Josh Dobbs, I think, from is that right? From North Dakota or North Carolina, I think is his name. It's Josh Dobbs. What is that quarterback or is it? Dubs, I think. Is that correct? Man, I'm really off on that. Either which way, the guy, the North Carolina wide receiver, why can I not think of his name? But there's a lot of guys that if we want to get speed, we could find speed late when we want to. It's interesting. I was going to say kind of earlier on, we were chatting about Jalen Hyatt, and I saw some mock drafts that he was falling to the 3rd round. And I thought that was really, really strange.
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs. Good job.
I was thinking that was a quarterback. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But Downs is another speedy guy too. But going back to Jalen Hyatt, I kind of saw why potentially if Hyatt's going to get to the 3rd round or whatnot is apparently there's a lot of talk that he's not very good other than just going downfield. Like he's not good about route just running
a straight line
kind of guy.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what Jalen Guyton was for.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a straight line kind of guy. And that's another guy that I would say if there's a free agent that we've had on this team, I wouldn't mind seeing Guyton back on this team.
Yeah. That's another guy we haven't talked about. Yeah.
Cheap pickup for us. And if you just want a straight line guy who could spread the field out, that's your guy. So I don't know. Those are just random thoughts.
So that's a really good point, right? And again, who is the person who is okay? Once again, this is great. So H4 again. When I chatted with Palmer on that, by the way, the audio quality. I mean, it was choppy. I could barely hear half what he was saying. It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
But he was very clear, and again, I want to make this very clear. This offense is going to be created by Kellen Moore with who we have on the team.
Yep.
I like that. And the follow-up question I had to Palmer was, do you think offensive coordinators in the NFL just plug and play their offense and don't really look at their team or the players on the team and really build an offense around that? Because that's ultimately what he said Kellen Moore is going to do. And he said, I can't really answer that question. So it was a bit of a trap question because my thought was that's what Joe Lombardi was going to do. And that's what he did. And he never made adjustments or changed anything. So it's not really answering a question, but it's letting me know that at least Kellen Moore will change and also change mid-game, right?
Yep.
So he can switch if the defense is running something against our run. Okay, we're going to run these fronts and we're going to run these plays and be ready for whatever comes at us. So, I'm excited to see that. And I'm excited to see a little bit less pressure in Herbert's face. Okay, so there's a question Aether throughout. Andrew, what do you expect from our defense? How high they'll be? Kyle, what do you expect from our offense? How high? Mine top 5, both 14-3, 5-1 in the AFC. Wet champs. Okay.
I like the wet chant.
Yes.
It's like when you're playing basketball and you get that perfect shot and you go wet, bro. You got that
wet chant. That's right.
Defense, I think we're going to be top 10. I think we'll be 10. That's around there. 9, 10. I think we'll do fairly well. Now, I'm saying this also if we are healthy, damn it, right? Because I'm sick and tired of us being unhealthy, right? So my thought is if we can get Bosa and Mac healthy, JC Jackson's out there, then I think sky's the limit, guys. I think we could be very good. And we're too injury prone, right? So
yeah, exactly.
But again, if we're top 10, I think we'd be fine. So Kyle, what's your thoughts on the offense?
Okay, so offense, I think overall we're gonna go top 5 easy. Justin Herbert's gonna be in the top 5 quarterback category this year too. I'm gonna just throw out there, I think he's gonna get about at least 40 touchdowns this next season. Woo. And about probably about 18 of those touchdowns are going to go to Eckler because he's going to try to perform pretty big. Of course, this is contract year with in trying to get to more I guess what is it? People coming to him and wanting to have some more people or other teams looking at him. I would say, finally, just kind of land that plane there. So, and
hey, we all do it. We all do
it.
We
all do it. Yeah. I couldn't figure out my thoughts, guys. Too much.
That's the green
live,
juice
baby.
That's the green juice talking. That's green juice talking. And then I think wide receivers, they're probably going to be getting about Williams, Keenan, Allen, 10 touchdowns each. Something like that. So it's going to be a good year. Overall, I think we're gonna do really well. And I just pray that we at least go 1-1 with the Chiefs, So
that's necessary. There was a question that brought up about you want to chat about Kellen Moore?
No, I just want to say, hey, fitness is exactly what's happening. And Josh Palmer 100% verified that he is going to create an offense around our personnel, whatever we have. You talking about 4H's question here?
No, Zakil Smith.
Okay.
He was talking about Zach. Was it Kuntz? I think is how you say his name. So Kuntz. Small school kind of guy. I mean, I kind of talked a little bit about him as one of the guys that we have met here. 6'7", 255. I mean, he was one of the fastest tight ends in the draft, or at least for this draft. At 4'5", I believe it was in his 40. Yep. He's got. I mean, based upon what they say about the draft buzz and everything like that, I mean, he's got fair hands, short receiving, intermediate routes, deep threat. He's good, not great, but they're saying he's a 7th round kind of guy. I mean, he was a high production kind of guy, but once again, small school. Not saying small school can't produce in the NFL, but there has been a lot of small school guys that have come in the NFL and just not produce at all.
Right.
So that's kind of one of those late round kind of flyer kind of guys, in my opinion. Maybe if an undrafted free agent, possibly. Not many Old Dominion guys are here in the NFL, by the way. So that could be a tough one all around to really expect to put like a high draft pick on him. But late round flyer, I would be probably into it. I'd be into it. Develop the guy.
And again, we've talked about this a few times. I'm a big fan of the Alabama guys, SEC, USC guys. The 4-star recruits out of high school, right? Because they've been a top performer for a long time. Sometimes they just don't get a lot of touches, yada yada. H4, I think you're right. I think we got more for 1 year. I think my thought is he's going to bump our offense to top 5. He'll be a head coach somewhere else the year after. So, but we'll probably have our quarterbacks coach, which is, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Anyways, the guy that came over from Cowboys, he'll probably take over and he'll be our OC the year after.
Yep.
Or who knows? Maybe we. I mean, let's knock on wood. Hopefully, we don't have a bad season and he takes over as head coach. During a busted season, right? Which would be terrible. Musgrave, Kincaid, all awesome. Yeah. Look, I think we also need to build. Again, Palmer's probably the guy that's going to really be with Herbert for a while, anyways. But we need to get more weapons around Herbert that he can grow with, and get that Rivers to
Gates.
To Gates, LT to LT Rivers, kind of connection.
Yeah.
And again,
I'm a big,
exactly right.
I'm a big fan of Zay Flowers, and then we went and dug into our first pick with Zion Johnson from Boston College. So let's go back again and try to get Zay Flowers. I mean, we have a connection there. Maybe Zion has worked a little bit with him, knows who he is as a personality. I think his personality fits really well for the Chargers based upon what I've seen in interviews. I mean, the guy is a freak of nature, man. He reminds me a lot of the wide receiver from Utah who was with the Panthers for years, Steve Smith.
Oh, Steve Smith, yeah.
Reminds me a lot of him. A guy that could just go up, not the biggest to do, but guy could just play beast mode on field and just go over dudes and just out muscles them. And he kind of reminds me a lot of that guy. Good downfield speed kind of guy. A lot of his highlights, if you watch it, the quarterback's underthrowing the guy because the guy's got speed. This guy, put him with Justin Herbert. My opinion, this is my strategy. Get like a guy like Zay Flowers. Guy could stretch the field. Bring back Guyton. 2 speedy guys all around. We could probably get Guyton for pretty cheap. Just make sure we got 2 guys out there that could be field stretchers for us. I would be totally fine with that.
So, and the other thing I would say on this too, guys, so that first video that's talking about the run game that was put out on the Chargers website, the next video is going to be on the pass game. And he's going to break down the pass game. So it's a 2-part series. So I think it's really interesting to see, it'll be interesting to see how he did it with the Cowboys. So one thing, this is interesting too. So this is why I like the idea of trading down, right? Our 21st pick has a lot of value. You trade down, you can get an additional pick in the second and maybe third, or maybe just another pick in the second for sure. And you get 2 picks in the second round. There's going to be a lot of value in the second round. You could easily get a tight end, wide receiver, and an edge rusher, in the second and third rounds that could potentially step up and do what you need to do. Anyways, and this is another one too, original one. Flowers would be great to give Herbert. We need speed. But one thing that Kellen Moore talked about too is that he said, look, you can do other things than just have speed, because speed is one thing. It's one note. You can do other things than just run the ball fast down the field as well too.
But it is also something that can't be coached. So
that is very true.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of why, like, everything else can be coached besides, like, how fast someone can actually run.
And Larry Castro, this is interesting. Probably right now would probably be Jasir Taylor, Taylor. Taylor. And so he's not a long-term solution there, So we probably need a wide receiver that can do punt returns or sign somebody. So it's a little bit kind of frustrating. One thing I'll say too, and then we'll go to some of the other things here too. But Kellen Moore's offense also, if you're on the 12 personnel, you're in a very big jumbo set. There's only one wide receiver on the field at that time. The thing that's nice about that is it gives your wide receivers, Allen, Williams, everyone else we decide to run to, time off the field. Do you remember that one time we had when Everett was at the goal line and Herbert threw him the ball? He didn't cut. He just stood there and he wanted to tap out. Yes. And the problem with Lombardi's offense also is all those wide receivers were out on the field all the damn time. They are run to death. Moore gives them breaks so they can do other things. Okay, I need you to run deep down the field. Well, half the time they were just gassing down the field all the time. And you get tired. We're human beings. We get tired. You can't run all the time. So I think Moore will give people more breaks.
And the thing about
pun
Moore
intended
is
pun intended.
Pun intended. That's perfect. The thing about it is with like Moore in his scheme, the way that I'm seeing it as, he's putting players in winning positions. And I feel like with Lombardi, it was like the receiver, the running back had to figure out how to make holes happen or how to get through a hole, create a play. Wide receiver, same thing, create a play, curl routes, kind of just not really winning football, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see what Moore could really do in this offense. It's going to be exciting.
So the rumor was this was going to be John Johnson III. I haven't seen anything else about that at this point. He probably wants a ton of money. We can't afford him, is my assumption. He might want like a 3-year contract or something. So it'd be really interesting to see how it plays out. So we may see JT Woods sooner rather than later, guys, or we draft somebody. And, I don't know. And this is a good point. We are going to be getting a lot more positions, O-line, edge rushers. There's going to be a lot more going on there too with that.
Yep.
I mean, clearly they're going to be at least drafting 1 or 2 offensive linemen this season as well too. So it'd be very interesting.
Yep.
Let's see. What was the question Aether had here? Okay, look ahead. What game you looking forward to see at home? Bills, Vikings.
Man, Bills at home and Vikings on the road. Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
That would be really cool. I mean, Josh Allen versus Justin Herbert. I mean, that would be killer.
Yeah,
Swolbert. Yeah, that'd be a killer game.
Well, I mean, look, like I love watching us play the Chiefs. Okay, I hate all of our division rivals.
Yeah, right? Always great game.
Right.
So to be honest with you, I think those are probably the ones I like the most. I love that. We play them at home. We play them away. I don't know. But I like the AFC West. We say AFC best, but kind of a waste last season. Ricky's got a good question here as well too. Good to see you, Ricky, as well too. All right, maybe James or Kai, you want to take this question?
Go for it, James.
All right, Ricky. We probably have to double dip in the receiver pool. I wouldn't mind getting a guy like Bryce Ford-Wheaton, who's 6'4", runs a nice 40 there. Was it a 4.3 40 and had 18 contested catches? And that's where my strategy was with the Zay Flowers and Jalen Guyton. I think kind of bringing those guys together would really, really open up this offense more. And then on top of that, let's say we get Zay Flowers in the first round. Let's say we go and get Darnell Washington in the second round. Yeah, I mean, this offense, it could be something.
It could be lethal, dude.
It could be best show on turf. Let's go. It would be awesome to watch.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Kyle?
Pull up the question again.
Okay. Probably have to double dip wide receiver pool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really see. I mean, we might double dip in the wide receiver poll, but like, it wouldn't be very early. Like, I think we could potentially get that number 1 or in the first round. We can get a good wide receiver, but then like, I don't see us going second round wide receiver either. Yeah. It would probably, if we got another wide receiver, it would probably be late, maybe 4th round at best, to kind of secure our future, because obviously, like, obviously we all know Keenan Allen's, aging out a little bit more.
Yep.
So I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea for us to get 2 wide receivers this draft, because we have other positions that we probably need to grab.
Yeah.
So I think Bryce Ford is probably a pretty good one. I mean, if he can do a 4.3, and if he's like kind of ranked pretty far down, that would actually be a stellar pick for us, because like you said, I mean, that was the biggest thing that we suffered with as well last year, is the fact that Guyton went down and we didn't have that speed guy that could just go and stretch the field some more, like, and open up some of that field. But
we also had a dipshit like Joe Lombardi calling plays too. So
true.
And why are we keeping scrubs around like Webb for depth? At the end of the day, they're there for depth. And
right.
And again, they're good, but they just clearly haven't shown something to the team.
I'll throw out, and when I was thinking about Bryce Ford-Wheaton, I was thinking, can he return kicks or anything like that? It looks like I don't see at least anything on ESPN that he's returned kicks or anything. But it brought me to mind Kansas State Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
He's basically possibly the second coming of Darren Sproles for us.
Yeah, he's a small dude, right? Yeah.
5'5", 179, just running back with some speed. And, if you get a guy like that, could just run fast and catch the ball and be a kind of a, being a shorter guy or anything like that, you have a little advantage to where your legs are a little shorter, that you can move and cut a little bit faster around these guys. But I'm just saying, like, he could be a pretty cool guy to be able to pick up late in rounds, and maybe we'll have another Darren Sproles once again on this team.
Yeah, and you're right, H4. There are holes in this roster, but the thing is, we got a lot of veterans in front of all of those rookies, right? And so, I guess the point is, and this is why I can see a lot of heat on Tom Telesco and Brandon Staley on the draft picks, because a lot of these guys have been drafted, have not played. Isaiah Spiller is a great example. JT Woods is a great example. We haven't seen them at all, right? And you're like, okay, well, that's a stupid pick. Well, but we had people in front of them. So the hope is that they go to camps, get a little more, figure out the offense, figure out the defense, whatever position they're playing, and can step up. And Ricky, you're exactly right. Mention Wheaton because 4th round projection. It's a good point, right? Again, this is why the draft is so interesting. I think there's a lot of people down the road in the draft that we could get to get more depth as well too. 8th or Eckler situation. So James, you want to talk about this?
The Eckler situation, man, is once again, we talked about it earlier in this video. We said, hey, look, there's a chance he could get traded on draft day. That's when players and teams are trying to be able to fill gaps and everything like that. And maybe there's a chance that there could be a trade during draft day for something like that. It happened. Last year it was Hollywood Brown to the Cardinals being one of them. It was also the wide receiver that went to the Eagles from the Titans. Why can I not think of his name? But there was a lot of trades that did happen during the draft, and that could be something out there. Now, the thing is, though, Eckler's not getting a lot of bites right now because maybe he's asking for $10, $12 million a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is a 28-year-old running back worth that kind of money? Production-wise says that, yes, he is worth that money. Has he outplayed his contract? Absolutely, he's outplayed his contract. 100%. But going back to the Eckler situation, it sounded like there was even talks of the Chargers trying to extend him last year, and he just kind of didn't pick up on it. So I don't really know where to take this thing, but if it happens, I'm fine with that. I do think the Kellen Moore system can create players, and I do think Isaiah Spiller has a lot of untapped potential. I think Joshua Kelly's a very good back too. So, and I'll even say that Kareem Hunt is out there still, by the way, too, as a free agent. You could go after him too. So I don't know.
Everyone's enamored with Bijan Robinson as well too, right? And I get
Brown,
it.
That's what it was.
Yeah, AJ Brown. This is interesting too. Larry talked about edge rushers. It's funny. There's a lot of good edge rushers in this draft too.
Yeah.
Will Anderson, Miles Murphy.
Anderson Jr., Tyree Wilson, Lucas Van Ness, Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy.
Yep.
Yeah. So
you could even get BJ Ojolari way down in probably 3rd, 4th round. So
2nd round,
easy. And so it's kind of one of those things where you sit back and say, okay, like again. I've said this. I've beaten this like a dead horse. This is why I like the idea of trading back because again, this team needs to get younger fast.
Yes.
It just does. And if we continue, and especially trading up, I see no value in trading up with our team at this point. I just don't see it. I don't see a guy moving up to top 15 that's worth it because you could probably get him late 2nd round or maybe late 1st round pretty easy. So, anyways.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I do, like I said earlier, I do like the idea of us going for an edge rusher, because of not only is the fact that Mac is getting older and Joey Bosa is getting very injury prone, and obviously he did in a lot of ways he has showed his temper too much on the field, and that has cost us massive plays and stuff. But I feel like, we do need to get younger. And that is a definite position of need where we need to get younger fast.
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and Rich, Kyle always has them on. It's funny. I think I have like 2 or 3 of them at my house. I just never wear them typically. They're party shades. They're party shades.
Yeah, the party shades. They work better. They work better indoors and at night than they do during the day because they don't block the sun at all. So
that's right. And Rich, we'll hook you up with a pair of the Bolt Bros shades.
We got it. We got these ones right here.
There you go. Man,
ooh.
I don't got mine right in front of me, so I can't do that. So, Forrest Lamp, Dan Freeney. Ooh, boy, a bad situation. Not good. Not good.
Bad.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Zay Darnell would make our man. So again, I think we're going to see a lot of play action this next season as well too. I really do think Herbert's a very good play action. We might even see some RPO. I'm a big believer that could be something we run but man, I never feel comfortable seeing Herbert rush on the edge very often because I just don't want to see that guy get hit, man, at all. Yep. Okay, Achilles Smith draft, defensive lineman edge. Yeah, two top. I'm gonna call him TT. I'm gonna call him TT.
From USC.
I hope you spelled that correctly. I'm like, wow. I'm sure the spell checker didn't help you out on that. Led the nation. Yep, exactly right. Yep. That's exactly right. And again, this is why DZ, you're exactly right. Achilles Smith saying there's a ton of edge guys. So again, I just really like the trading back idea. It just makes so much more sense.
Yeah. Get some more draft capital out of that first or 21. Because, I mean, here's the truth, though, too, is like we're not going to find an elite player in the 20 at 21, like at least according to the draft stats and stuff like that, yeah, like, I mean, because those are the top 10, essentially, those always going to be that. So we can easily trade down, get some more draft capital for like the future or even this draft or whatever. And then we can actually get some really still solid players. And yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So, but
Ricky got some shades too. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. But what I was just going to say is I don't think that Tom Telesco is going to do that because he doesn't get too fancy with his draft picks usually. So,
okay. So we got a question here from Aether. Player, team, MVP, offense and defense. No Herbert, no DJ. Mine is Atante and Keenan. Who are you picking? Man, I'm going to go on a boy.
Derwin James for defense, Justin Herbert for offense, dude. Let's go.
I mean, that's kind of it, but Asante is good. I say JC Jackson has a bounce back season. I think that he's hungry. I think he'll do well. I think if Eckler is to be traded, then I think we could see Isaiah Spiller have an amazing season offensively. I think that guy's got talent. He just needs to be put in the right system. But, we haven't seen what he's got going on there. Kyle, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it really just depends. I feel like, how they play is going to be the biggest thing. Yeah. I mean, I would say, Herbert and DJ would definitely be my pick on that. Like, being the top players for this year. I feel like, they're both going to have like, stellar years. But then again, too, like, I mean, unless Keenan Allen and Asante have like a breakout year, that could be the huge thing. But then again, I mean, Asante, he had a breakout year last, dude, how many
breakout playoff game, dude?
Yeah, playoff play.
He
destroyed it. Yeah. So like he kept us in that first half like so well. Like, I mean, did he have 3 interceptions in the first half?
It was nuts.
So it's nuts.
Insane.
I mean, if he can keep up that production next year, 1,000%, he's going to be the MVP of the defense for sure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Right. Yeah. So, and this is good too. I did a mock where I traded back. Yep. And this is exactly what I've done all my mock drafts.
It's a good draft. That's a great draft.
That's fantastic. That's depth. Yeah. You're getting a lot what you can look. That's why I've consistently said, and Kyle, the mock draft you did, you traded back 3 times? I mean, it's probably a little excessive.
It's very, very excessive. Yeah.
Are the Chargers going to make a trade here? No.
Not in the first round, baby.
Yeah. And I didn't trade back, I think, with the Chiefs. And then I got like a late second, or no, sorry, mid second. And, it was a very good pick. It was very awesome. I still got everyone I really wanted in my draft. And so, my point is, I think it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, I really wonder where we're going to go with this, but maybe we wrap up here. I know we're at almost an hour and a half. Wow, guys. Wow, that just flew by. I'm sorry, guys. I mean,
that was great.
Hope this was beneficial.
Conversation was flowing, man. We were having a good time.
We was in the zone.
That's right.
Let me just say this. And then
bro zone.
The bro zone. We're broing out. Actually, maybe Kyle, why don't we go with you, and then we'll pass to James, and I'll wrap up, and then I'll hit the button. I'll hit the button, guys. Make sure.
What final thoughts? Is that what you're
final
saying?
Thoughts? Yes. Final thoughts.
Yeah. So, Justin Herbert, his contract extension is going to be a really interesting thing. We still need to think about going into the future because, obviously, it's going to be huge, and we know that we have. A lot of things that we need to worry about with the salary cap on his regard. And, but that's going to be a huge conversation for us. I know that talk is going on right now, but I don't think personally that it's going to happen just yet. I think it's going to happen next year, just because we have a lot more things. I'm sure that they are well aware of what they want to give him. And so those contracts are going to be going on in the back of this season. But it's going to be finally put to paper at the end of next season for sure. And so when it comes down to the draft, we're there's a lot that we need to work with, and Yeah, and so my thoughts is that if we do make a first round pick, it's going to be an edge rusher. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very wide open draft, and I guess we're going to just kind of talk about this. That I think there's some guys out there that people are really, really heavy on that I don't think are necessary, in my opinion. We'll talk a little bit more about that in other videos here coming up. But bottom line, this draft, in my opinion, I think we're just going to have to go the best player available for best fit for our needs. And so if it's going to be a safety, maybe it's going to end up being another safety, or Alohi Gilman's going to be our guy, or JT Woods is going to be our guy, or if it's going to end up being a wide receiver. Personally, I think it's going to be a wide receiver. I think all around, we need to find ways to be able to get Justin Herbert more weapons. And also, shout out, I'm going to give Brisket Broads shout out here. I got their little bonnet going on here. This is weird. I got a bonnet here.
Yeah, I got mine too upstairs. I totally forgot to. I was going to wear it too. So good call on that, James. That's awesome for the Brisket Broads. They're awesome.
Maybe we'll do another video just rocking the bonnets, dude. Let's go.
Maybe we should do that. So James Callahan, the clock. No trade you pick in mind would be Robinson. Look, a lot of people are really enamored with Robinson. I like the idea of Robinson, but again, I think this is where this draft is so intriguing to me because there's so many good picks out there that could really step in and do well. Sure. I will say this. This team is missing a few things. The one thing that we did, and again, I love the acquisition of Moore. To me, that's all we needed because in the NFL, nobody cares about defense anymore. Brandon Staley's defense is all about getting interceptions, and that's about it. Not, try not to get gashed hugely on the run, but stopping the deep pass.
Yep.
We have that defense if we could stay healthy. But now I think we need to draft our offense, and we got a genius like Kellen Moore that can step in and make our offense look really good or even better, top 5 and become elite. Then sky's the limit, guys. It's just, I really truly believe that we're going to be fine, with this team moving forward. It's just, please, love of God, stay healthy. If we can stay healthy, sky's the limit, guys. Sky's the limit. So, yeah. Here we go. So we got one more question here. Maybe we'll answer this one real quick. 7-4-14. I'll try to think guys have to answer off season. What's the first player that has a chance to win? DeRoy Olroy? Okay.
Offensive rookie of the year. Offensive rookie. Ooh, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Boy, maybe we should do a whole video on that one.
Yeah. What do you think? I think that's a good one. That's a good one to do. Yeah.
Yeah, because we actually talked about that quite a bit. Because this would be another 30-minute conversation, probably, right?
Yeah, so that's a long-winded conversation.
Yes, that's a
maybe we'll do a video on that. Maybe we'll do a video on that.
We'll do that. We'll do that next week, guys. So, look, we got everything we need, right? I think I'm excited where we're at. I think bottom line, we just got to stay healthy. That's been our biggest Achilles heel over and over again. We just got to stay healthy. And the good thing is we're going to score points.
Yep.
So, guys, Bull Bros, we're here for you. We're going to do a video on that question because I think that requires a deeper, longer answer than we have time for right now.
Yep.
But as always, guys, we're the Bolt Bros. Oh, and check us out on all the medias, guys. We're obviously on YouTube. You guys are seeing us here. We're on the Twitters. We're on the Grams. We're on all the above. Kyle does a lot of stuff on Instagram over there. That's where a lot of Kyle's content typically goes to.
Mm-hmm.
James
and Twitter.
And Twitter. That's right. He does quite a bit on Twitter as well too. So James and I are pretty much doing a lot of stuff on YouTube. So we have plenty of content all over the place. And hit us up, guys. Shoot us an email. And by the way, we do read your comments on all of these videos. If you are watching our video and you have a question, I would love for you to say, hey, can you do a quick video on this? Can you do a quick video on that? Because that gives us things that we can do videos on, and we'll do that for you. But, as always, guys, we're here to support you. I'm Andrew.
I'm Kyle.
James.
Bolt Bros.
Kyle. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.